being on the road is a hard life. I mean, you could write books, you could tell stories, people wouldn't believe it. I mean, I remember the first night, the first weekend I played out of town, Sweet Springs, Missouri. And the club owner the club owner gave us hotels, and because I was the only girl in the group, I got a room by myself. And so I had my hair in my little pink rollers, and I had on my little pajamas and my gown, because I gotta remember, I'm right out of college.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm getting ready for bed with my little night cream, and all of a sudden I hear a knock on the door, and it's the keyboard player of the band, Bill Manis, who is a very good friend of mine. And that's who I started with. He goes, Millie, I don't want to kiss you. I don't want to crawl in bed with you. So Mark, just wipe all of those thoughts out of your head. I want to get some sleep, because he played a Hammond B3. And in those days, you carried the Hammond B3 and the Leslies.
Wow. Yeah,
okay?
Screw that. Yeah.
Everybody who played a Hammond B3 and their two Leslies, they carried that sucker. And he said, Millie, I just want to go to bed. The band is drinking, they're partying, the music is loud. Please let me come in and sleep. I had to think about it. Okay. So that night, Bill Manis slept in my room. Another night, because there was two beds.
Yeah.
Another night, the drummer, Millie, I don't want to sleep with you. I really don't.
That
I just
is
want to
really
go
funny.
to sleep. So the story, if a musician never goes on the road, they are missing out on the stories and on the life. There are so many stories, and they're all true.
Yeah. Do you have another one off the top of your head?
Well, yes, and this is why I changed my mind. All right, another gig we had, Goshen, Indiana. I loved Goshen because they had tons of Amish settlements, and I could go there and eat dinner, eat lunch.
Probably some great food.
Oh my God! Oh my God! One night, the singer got so drunk he couldn't stand up. Bill was kicking bass with the left hand. And with the right hand, he was holding him up. He kept falling on him. His arm would bend, but he kept him on his feet long enough to finish the set. I never laughed so hard. Another night in Sedalia, Missouri, these two women fell in love with the lead singer and the conga player. And you know the deal with women and musicians. They were in love. And the musicians, they were good looking, but they had a Mercedes. So let's really hang with these girls. Both of them got so drunk, they were arguing about who was going to drive. So they get in the car with these two women. The women have a Mercedes. They are very attractive. They're going to drive them back to Kansas City where they can party some more. And they're fighting over who's going to drive the car. So I'm still at the club tearing down, because that's a part of it. Waiting to get paid, that's a part of it. This was the Red Roof Inn in Sedalia, Missouri. And they'd been gone about 10 minutes, and by the time we hopped in the van, because there's always a van, because you don't want to drive all the cars, you got to have a van to save money. I get in the van, and we're driving to Kansas City. And we look down the road. The Mercedes is in the middle of the road. We see two men in front of the lights of the car fighting. And they were fighting about who was going to drive. And we stopped. And then we saw the Mercedes go around them and drive off. So they ended up crawling in the van.
Wow.
And we all drove back to Kansas City.
Wow.
So the stories go on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
And they're funny, and it's exciting, but it's a hard life. It's a hard life. I remember one night driving to Lake Ogoboji. That's where Marilyn May,
Yeah.
has performed every year.
That's Iowa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
way up there.
Yeah.
We drove to do a 4-hour gig, and they said, well, we can put you up in a hotel. And the driver said, no, I want to go back. So after driving 6 or 7 hours,
Trying to go back. Yeah.
we drove back 6 or 7 hours. Got home at 3 or 4 in the morning. It's a hard life.
Yeah.
And at some point, I was sitting, I don't know where I was at, and I said, what are you doing? What are you doing? You either want to try to make it big, and I never wanted to be a celebrity. I never wanted that life. I don't want my business, I don't want to live my life in public. I don't want people to know my private life. I don't want to have to look perfect 24/7. I want to go to the grocery store in a do-rag. I want to work in my yard. I want to read. I want to live a normal life.
Yeah.
So I never wanted to be a celebrity. I never wanted to be famous. But then I always wanted music. So when I sat down, because my dad said, always honor the music. My dad was my biggest fan. I'd sit on the porch, I'd sit in a room and listen to Sarah Vaughan. I'd listen to Nancy Wilson. He loved, along with my mom and my grandma, jazz and jazz vocalists. He'd take me down to the foundation. He'd always say, honor the music. You didn't write it, honor it. Tell a story. So when I sat down and I reflected and I said, do I want to leave Kansas City? No, I love Kansas City. I was able later to travel the world. But when I made that decision, I was going around the country performing. I said, if I can always do music and work with great people, I will be content and I will be happy. I don't want to be a star. I don't want to be famous. I just want to make music. And when I made that decision, I went to work for AT&T, then Southwestern Bell, as an operator and moved up in the company. But it's a hard life. It's a hard life. People now that do music full time, many of them have, like you said, they're teachers. They have a part-time job, because to make money being a full-time musician only playing is a rough gig.